right. That's all we're doing today. We're not going to throw in the rest because I got to fix my cash out. All right, we're just going to wait on people to show up. Hey, my Jin. Hi, baby. What's up, Zoe? How y'all doing? What's up, Raymond? Hello, Vinny. How you guys doing? Third, yeah. How you guys doing, man? You know, I was going to be doing a forging video. What's up, KK? But it started raining again, guys. Now my backyard's muddy. So it's just, I don't really want to forge in the mud. You know, all my equipment's sopping wet. So, dang, can't do it today again. But now that I have the tank, the very next beautiful sunny day we have, I am getting back on the hammer. Oh, y'all are going to get a storm there too? All right, Jin. But guys, welcome into the show. If you don't mind, like, share, subscribe. If you wish to get in contact with me, here's my email address right here. You can always email me at any time. It might take me a little bit of time to respond, but that's because I actually have a lot of emails that I go through. Just ate crispy nuggies. All right. Yeah, we missed you today, Jin. You've been gone for a minute. But, you know, she was at her mom and dad's. She went to church, all those lovely things. I've been watching some more videos lately, actually. And, wow. The state our country is going to be in. Just wow. You know, I'm still worried about that. But, you know, it is what it is, guys. There's nothing we can do about it right now. At this exact moment, aside from start a reform, which, guys, the only problem is the only reforms they're doing is promoting these crazy acts of insanity. And this is coming from somebody who's legally crazy, and I think these people are nuts. Yo, what's up, Wolf? Do you know about the Gilgamesh trials? No, I don't know about the Gilgamesh trials. What is up, OCE? You have to, you can only stay a little. I got you there, Vinny. That's all good, man. But yeah, everybody, this is coming from somebody who's actually legally crazy. And I think what's going on right now in our country is nuts. All right. Not just nuts, knucking futz. It's absolutely lost its mind. You know, I'm just sitting back. Because my little town hasn't been affected by much. We did actually, my friend Wayne, when he came over, he had, oh, whoa. Daggum. Hello, OC. Oh, wow. Hello, everybody. Hi from ZOV country. Welcome. His name was Lil Mango. Oh, okay. Whoa. Finish your 1 hour live stream. Awesome, Raymond. But yeah, guys, we've actually had one of these teachers quit because of these students. You know, couldn't handle it. My friend Wayne actually works with one of them. He was an 8th grade teacher, and he told him that he was actually making less money as a teacher than he was at Waffle House. We are paying our teachers less money than a Waffle House employee. You know, that's kind of sad, man. But he was a teacher for 8 years and then suddenly quit. I don't know what that means there, Thomas. Sup, Pi? Hello. Oh, nice. Rock out, man. But no, guys, I've also been seeing quite a few of these videos of people that are wanting to leave the country. And these are decent people. These ain't bad people at all. They're not the problem. They're the people that would be the solution, but they're tired of fighting. They're tired of dealing with it. So there's a substantially large amount of people saving up money currently to immigrate out of the country. And it's very unfortunate. There's my Jin. What's up, Sayo? Hey, man, watching your stream from India. Thank you for liking the hat. And guys, if y'all would, please go check out the pinned comment down below. That's my girlfriend at JenHolder976. Go check her out. She does Christian content, NASCAR, country music, and coloring. So y'all might enjoy what she's got. She's also a sweetheart, as long as you don't tick her off. But thank you for watching from India. Namaste, welcome in. Where am I from? I'm from Southeast Texas. I'm from a little teeny tiny town in Southeast Texas where you blink, you're through it. It literally only takes 15 minutes to drive from one side to the other. And the only difference is we're spread out outside the city limits like crazy. There's county roads everywhere, so everybody lives out in the woods. I unfortunately don't. Yeah, this is my girlfriend, everybody, Jin, and kind of my co-host in a lot of ways. So please be respectful. That's all we ask on this station. Russia, nice. Dobre. Moscow. All right. Dobre. That's the only, I don't know very many other words in Russian, but that's one I do know is hello. I'm trying to learn some, but yeah, I've just been sitting here since January 17th. I've been making these videos and I've been coming up with topics to talk about and things to express. And unfortunately, I'd like to be able to say that I can have pride in more than just my Norse ancestry. But I'm steadily losing pride in being able to be an American. It's very inappropriate. I appreciate that, man. So I liked your live. Keep going, buddy. See ya. See you later, man. How's the weather? It's raining, but man, it needs to rain. Not only that, I live in a swampy area where we have a lot of, we're close to a delta. We have a lot of creeks, rivers, and streams around here. So rain is very essential, and it's also going to make the hunting this year really good because there's going to be a lot of food. There's going to be especially a lot of food for them hogs, and that's what I'm going for. Here, porky. Yeah. So we're going to do some hunting videos for you guys too. So how's the weather where you're at, man? In Russia? Are y'all experiencing a different season from summer right now? Or like, are y'all in fall or winter? Because I know my friends in Australia are in straight up winter, which is neat. I know somebody who's all the way on the other side of the globe, one that even calls me uncle. So it's a great feeling being able to make friends from people all over the planet, and to know that pretty much any country I go to, there's at least one or two fans. And I feel not privileged. That's the worst word I could use right now. I feel honored to have all these incredible people that want to come in. What's up, radio? Ooh, that seems kind of cool. I hunt hogs mostly, but I will hunt rabbit, squirrel, white-tailed deer. I don't really hunt raccoon because my dad doesn't really like it. You hunt moose and wild boars. I hunt wild boars, just not moose. There's no moose down here, but on occasion I hunt alligator, and that's a lot of fun. I love hunting alligators. That's how I got my nickname. Actually I got my nickname by bringing one to school once. My teacher in 8th grade said I could bring any animal I wanted to help teach the class for my small animal care class. So I brought an alligator. Yeah, she tripped. Oh, we had an issue with something like that. There's a lot of boars there in Arizona. Oh, okay. I got you. But, that's mostly what I hunt down here. Country girl, welcome in. But that's a lot of what I hunt down here is wild boar. They're easy to hunt. They're easy to track. They're everywhere. And quite frankly, they're a nuisance. So, there's not really even a hunting season on. No, radio, I don't think that's the case because a few people got blocked that didn't know it, and, I think he's a troll. I think we need to get rid of him, because a few people have been blocked mysteriously because I had to get rid of him because he blocked a bunch of my viewers for no reason, and we really need to check into that. A guy named Tom. There you go, my Jin. Thank you for being an absolute understanding sweetheart. That's what I love about her. Kindness flows through her veins like it does mine. Hospitality is something I truly believe in, guys. And respect and common courtesy, common sense. The world can use a lot more of that. Thank you, radio. But, yeah, we've got so much stuff going on. It's weird when we're having a bonfire at night. You're around because can hear the teeth chattering. That's unfortunate there, KK, though. What's up, Adam? There's a lot of boars in the government. You know what? I agree with you right now. I don't even call it the government. I agree with my friend Roanoke Gaming, and I call it the gooberment. Because right now it's ran by a bunch of goobers. They're so old, they're being wheeled in with wheelchairs. If not, they're being escorted to their seat because they can't walk to it by themselves. They're falling asleep in the middle of bills being read. And then they're still voting on the bill, but you didn't even stay awake for the whole bill, and yeah, from the boars, definitely. But you can't even stay awake for the whole bill. And you still think you got the ability to vote on it? I think you're mentally incompetent for your job at the moment. I think your age has finally caught up to you, and it's time to be replaced. The problem is, who's going to replace them? Are we finally going to put good leaders in office? Are we going to end up with some of these, are we going to end up with somebody who's going to pull an agenda in? Are we going to end up with somebody who's going to actually take the people of America into consideration? Not just the minority, the majority, everybody. Because when you run a country, you can't take just one small percentage of the country into effect and think that that's the way you need to base your country on. When you run a country, guys, you have to look at the big picture, the entire country. Good luck to you too, Thomas. Oh, I'm doing great, radio. But, you need to take the whole country into perspective. You need to take the economy into perspective. You need to take the debt, the national debt into perspective. You need to take a bunch of these things and look at it, guys. Really examine it. Like you were trying to figure out the inks, that they used. Awesome. But, hello, Sharky. What's up, man? Welcome in. But, you got these situations where they need to really scrutinize everything that's going on. And they really need to look into these people before they put them in office. Guys, we have rules that were established by the Constitution for a reason. You had to either have served in the military or have served in politics for so many years in order to even be considered a candidate for a senator, guys. And it's horrible now that I sit back and I look and nice. It's horrible when I sit back and I look at the state my country's in. And, I'm not looking at immigrants. I'm not looking at, this criminal culture that's going around that includes every race. This glorification of criminal activity, this, personification that's American culture, to go crazy and to riot and to, glorify the gang, glorify the felon. Guys, these people used to be scorned for a reason. That these people used to be, and it's all people. It's not just one race. It's every race. These people were looked down upon for a reason. Life was made hard for them for a reason. Guys, and if you want to act a fool, act a fool somewhere where you're not going to hurt anybody. Oh no, I'm actually all right. I'm just a little disappointed because of the rain. I'm like, I wanted to forge. I want to finish my sack so bad. I wanted to get onto my forge and get to hammer and steel so bad, but and it's off and on. So I don't know when it's going to end. There's still storm clouds all over me. So it's just like, I'm tired of the rain. And I've been doing a lot of research and looking into some political situations that are going on and things of that sort, because, guys, it's going to affect us. I'm in my 30s now. I'm about to be 38 soon. I'm soon going to be 40. What's going to happen when I'm 60? How is this country going to be when I am 60 years old? And that's what I got to look at. Oh, it's all good there, Sharky. No, Weather didn't agree with me. She's like, nope, I need to water the garden instead. I'm like, son of a bucket eater. But anyway, oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, radio. But it's just a situation that I'm looking at where by the time I'm a senior citizen, who's going to be running my country? What kind of presidency are we going to have? If we even have a president, because Trump is dang sure trying to take over for a third term. And that is impossible according to our laws. That is impossible according to our culture. Guys, that's our heritage. Nobody runs more than 2 terms. And I don't understand why he thinks he can. I don't understand why he thinks he's got all this great power to be able to change our country to suit his needs. And we're changing our country to suit the needs of the few. We're indoctrinating our children. We're mutilating people. We're killing people in droves. We're, splitting families apart. What is going on? Our kids can't even read. I've mentioned that a lot these past few live streams, but that just blew my mind. A 7th grader who can't read? That's just, what? Man, where are we going? What are we trying to do? What is our country's goals? Are we trying to become great again? Or, I digress, are we trying to lose our minds? Are we trying to follow through the path of the Romans and the Greeks, where we become so hedonistic and dwelling on the different and the new and entertainment that our government falls apart and our country's taken out from underneath us? Am I going to grow up the rest of my life, until my actual dying day? Because you always continue to grow. I always say that. You grow up your whole life. It doesn't matter if you're not growing in inches anymore. You grow in knowledge, you grow in experience, you grow in wealth. So you're always growing, no matter what is going on, no matter what age you are, until your dying day, you're always going to grow. And it's the people that accept that growth and take that growth in as a wonder that end up making greatness out of their lives. And it's the people that take that change and try to fight it. That take that growth and try to throw it away, that end up having miserable lives. And I've seen so many people lately that are just Man, as soon as I found out I was schizophrenic, I immediately went to counseling. As soon as I discovered. Oh, thank you, my Jen Jen. She is an amazing woman, isn't she? But it's I did not know that I was going to make awesome friends. You see, Jen Jen, that's the point of this channel. Make some incredible friends and maybe learn something, get a new insight, because it's always a thing that should be practiced is looking outside the box, looking at things from a different perspective. What's up, Mr. Rebel? Country Girl's in here somewhere, I think, still. But anyway, guys, it's always good to look at things from different angles and perspectives for the simple fact that you might see something you missed. You might realize that your ideology might be a little twisted. I didn't know I was going to make American friends. Well, where are you from, Radio? Oh, I'm sorry you feel like crap, Mr. Rebel. That's not good. I'm a little disappointed because it's still raining and I can't go forage because you can't exactly forage in the rain. It's going to cool my steel off. Thank you, Radio. But anyway, guys, there's just this whole situation that's going on, situations that are going on that is just a powder keg. It's a powder keg with a lit fuse, and we are fanning the flames, guys. We are fanning the flames of this problem. Yeah, man, I was so ready to forge because I got a new propane tank, and now I got to tell you guys it's put off again because of the freaking rain because I don't have a dang dumb roof. I need a roof. But anyhow, I sit back a lot of times in the mornings. I listen to Hai Lung, which is traditional Norse music. I sit back and listen to the music of my people. I meditate, and then I get ready to train. Today I couldn't meditate, but I sat back and I watched nature while me and my friend were talking. And I sit back and I wonder, how can people be so upset when there's so much beauty that surrounds them? Why would you want to live in a city? Was another question I had. I understand jobs, guys, but live on the outskirts. Let the city be the city. Let it be filled with jobs, and just go in there to work, go in there to buy. You ain't got to stay there. I met a lot of good people in your live streaming and made new friends, Clint. Thank you, Mr. Rebel. I listen to music while I'm getting ready for the day. Awesome. And not only that, I see a world that if just a little bit of patience and time was needed, that in a couple of generations, we could do what I don't like, although I don't like to say indoctrinate, but we could use the same methods we've been using lately to brainwash children, to brainwash them into anger and all this other stuff that is going on currently, like teaching them how to be protesters and things of that sort instead of teaching them how to read. We could be teaching them, religious tolerance. We could be teaching them common sense. We could be teaching them their rights, so that way if they want to protest, they know what they're protesting about, so we could bring civics back. Get rid of some of these classes that don't matter that we have anymore, like gender therapy, which is something they could take on their free time in college. They don't need it as an actual class while they're in grade school, guys. Bo Chambers, nice. Yeah, it starts with us. It starts with us definitely trying harder, guys. I hate to use this phrase, but do better. It simply boils down to when it comes to your family, when it comes to, rearing your children, do better. Follow in some of the footsteps of our grandparents, like the morals they taught about, modesty and about controlling your mouth and thinking twice before you do something. Or hell, even education, how important an education is. Because I don't know about you guys, but my dad can't do nowhere near as much as his daddy could, and I can't do nowhere near as much as my grandparents could, but I can actually do more than my dad. But, that's just because I went out and learned. Guys, I put well, you know what? I can do about as much as my grandfathers could, just by different means. Guys, they were military. Doing better on purpose. Exactly. Make a change. All right. See you later, radio. But yeah, they got to be willing to make a change for the better. You got to be willing to sit there. If America is complaining about this problem with race, then use racial tolerance as a class. Guys, teach it. If America's having so much problem with reading, don't get rid of reading like they've been doing. Make it more important. Emphasize it more. Instead of them going to that class for 30 minutes, make them stay in that class for an hour. Guys. Hello, Phoenix Terror. How you doing, my Finland friend? It does start with our leadership. You're absolutely correct. And the reason why it starts with our leadership is because, guys, we elected an entertainer for our leader. Not a politician, not somebody who's been raised to be a leader, not somebody who's been raised to understand what it takes to govern a people. No, instead we elected an entertainer to be our president. And we could have done so many better choices. I would have voted for Arnold Schwarzenegger if he had walked in there. Man, he was great at running California. California prospered under Arnold Schwarzenegger. And yet we get stuck with an Oompa Loompa and a toupee. And guys, there isn't a politician that you can find out there right now that I ain't going to diss. And it's because I don't trust them anymore. I remember the Clinton campaign. I grew up during the Clinton administration. I remember him getting in trouble for the whole Paula Abdul-Jabbar situation and the whole Monica Lewinsky situation. I remember that entire thing. And it was a scandal. It freaked the world out, but at least the nation knew what was going on. Now we've got presidents that are doing shady shit and hiding stuff behind our backs, being like, no, don't look here, don't look here. Oh, look, war in the Middle East. And that's very unfortunate. And I'm starting to become ashamed to be an American because the rest of the world views us as the most unintelligent, violent, uncontrollable, and absolutely lazy people in the world. Guys, what's up, Big Dave? Good afternoon. But cult of personality, it seems. Yeah, I know, right? What I think we should do is not be angry at each other as standard American citizens. I think we should start being angry at our leaders. I think we need to start being angry at the people in power, the ones who hold the cash flow, the ones who hold the say-so in whether or not you own your property, the ones who literally have the right to take your vehicle if they wish to take everything from you and jail you for no reason. Tuska it was the last day, motionless and white, and Lorna Shore, nice. But there's a situation going on right now where we're looking at leaders that are becoming incompetent, and we're looking to them to fix a situation when instead they're being paid off to influence an agenda instead. Battle Beast, yes. I love Battle Beast. I was listening to them earlier. I was also listening to some High Lung. I was showing my friend High Lung and Battle Beast. In fact, he's never heard my music before. He was really into it. But there's a lot of this talk going around of teachers quitting because students are uncontrollable. And, the rest of the world sees these actions, guys, because these students post what's going on. Not only that, they have what's up, Brandon? How you doing? But it's not only that, but there's incidences where students have recorded teachers finally losing their stuff and either striking students or yelling and screaming and having a huge fit, guys, and it's because they can't handle these kids anymore. And these kids think it's funny, and their parents think it's funny, which is rather unfortunate and sad. And it's leading to Generation Alpha and Generation Z being the worst behaved generation America's ever seen. And guys, these people are eventually going to be running the country, and they're gonna be fighting for their right to stay a child, basically, to stay in a child's mindset. They don't want to grow, they don't want to improve, and I'm sorry, I don't want a leader that can't read. If you can't read and write a persuasive essay to the point where I'm going to sit back and go, maybe I need to rethink my situation a little bit, then you're not a good leader. I know, right, Mr. Rebel? And that would be great for you, my Jen, working in early childhood development. I got to put my feet down, man. I've done made both legs asleep. My class is labeled Opportunity Class, a classroom full of kids who don't know how to self-regulate or deal with emotions. Wow, Bo, I didn't even know that. Hello, Poppy. Welcome in. But I'm just want to work in early childhood development one day. I heard you, Jen. I'm doing great there, Poppy. We're just we're having a conversation about the state of America right now. Right now we're on the education system, because Trump is talking about shutting down the Board of Education. I hope he's shutting it down to replace policies, to change things around to where our students are actually taught something, where we're no longer one of the dumbest countries in the world. Every country I've talked to, their kids are required to learn at least 2 to 3 languages before graduating, at least 2 to 3, Here in America, we only have to learn one. Just one. And you don't even really have to learn it, because a lot of the times it's a coach that's the teacher, and he really doesn't care about that class. He's more concerned about making his next battle plan for the football team, or making his next training session for the baseball team, or figuring out new plays for the basketball team. Guys, he's not really concentrating on teaching these kids another language. And when you do have a teacher that does it, none of the kids want to listen to him. They call him mean, they call him angry, they call him crazy. And I experienced that while I was growing up. You had a lot of kids that would storm out of extracurricular classes because they were like, I don't actually have to pass this. And they'd lose their stuff, and they would go off and they would find their other friends that got out of class, and they would literally just all go get high or do other things. I like the emphasis on standardized testing is a major downfall of our education system. Yes, standardized testing is a major downfall, because you're teaching one test for the whole year. You're not actually teaching them anything. And it's not only that, they're not teaching history the right way either. They're omitting a lot of history. Oh yeah, it's called discipline, something we have lost in today's world. Exactly. And, they're not even teaching proper history, because for instance, did you guys know that when my early ancestors came over here to America, we were indentured servants, we were slaves. We had to work for this person for 7 years before we could ever even attempt to earn our freedom, and they never were rewarded it. They were not rewarded it until the slaves were freed. I actually have slaves in my family line. And they were simple farmers. Before that we were trappers. But there was that was in my family line. I've done my genealogy research. I know what my family line is about, and I have some Irish blood in me. And they were all slaves. Not only that, but some of my ancestry, some of my Scandinavian ancestry came over here as slaves. And I don't complain about it because that was back then. Guys, I'm tired of being told that I'm horrible because of my skin tone. I'm tired of being told that I'm terrible because I'm not LGBTQ plus. I'm tired of being told I'm terrible because I don't support the Hispanic community enough to the point where I'm going out and destroying businesses in my area. Yeah, you didn't even talk back to people when you were growing up, guys. We were taught to respect your elders. With great age came great wisdom, and with great wisdom came great respect. Or it should be. But these kids don't respect anybody. They don't even respect their parents. I've seen a mom reach out and go to try to grab an iPad from her kid, and her kid literally reared back and hit her as hard as he could and started wailing and screaming because she took the iPad away. And there's no reason for this. There's no call for this. Guys, there's a better world out there. There's something better we can reach towards. Humans are divine creatures. We should be able to reach that divinity and bring ourselves from the brink of this chaos and this world of utter pain and suffering and literally turn it around and find a way to make this a world of light and peace and kindness and tolerance and understanding. But instead, we're letting ourselves be driven toward this world of chaos, anarchy, and absolute madness. And this is coming from somebody who's a schizophrenic, somebody who's legally labeled mad, But I can look past some of these woke TikTokers and some of these woke, people that do YouTube shorts that are talking about, well, if you don't support this, then you deserve to be shot. Or if you don't support this, you deserve to, lose everything. These things are not right. We're human beings. All of us are. Every last one of us are a human being. And, exactly, treat people like people. Because, guys, you never know when that you might run into that person later on down the road. And because you were nice to them, because this has happened, to me before, actually. I was nice to a guy all throughout school. Nobody really liked him. Everybody thought he was stupid. But, he went on to create a construction company. I went to work for him for a while. And that's how I wound up in Ohio. And he was owned a construction company. And he put me to work as one of the managers. And it was then that, even as a manager, I was having seizures and hallucinating, and I just couldn't fulfill my job after a certain point, especially then COVID hit, and I was trapped inside of a house, and I was literally getting cabin fever in the same process. So it did not help my schizophrenia in the least. And, then my wife at the time, now ex-wife, decided to cheat on me and leave me for another man. And because there was no apartments or houses available, she couldn't move out. So I had to listen to their little lovey-dovey crap all night long. And none of that helped. So, guys, I lost my stuff in 2019. I lost everything as far as like mental wise goes. It was horrible. And, guys, that was when my schizophrenia kicked in fully. And I had all that stuff going on. And I pulled myself up and out of that. And these kids can't even handle having a headache. They can't handle falling over. You mollywop the mess out of them and they look at you like you just broke their face. Hopefully you didn't. But they're it's just, and you've got people You got people that are leaving the country. Yeah, man, Mr. Rebel, that wasn't the first time either. It's been 19 times for me rebuilding. You know, but you got people that are leaving the country, and they're trying to take this, you know, anger culture with them. They're trying to take this strange idea that the rest of the world acts the exact same way America does. And they go over there and they start causing havoc. And one of the first things, oh, wow. You know, yeah, it's been a lot of times for me, Mr. Rebel. But homelessness can do that to you. But anyway, you know, all this crap's going on. They go overseas and they think that the same thing's happening over there, which some of it is. You know, a lot of it is. But they realize the culture's so different that they're outcast there. I think it boils down to entitlement and misplaced pride. Exactly. What's wrong, country girl? You sleepy? Am I boring you to death? But you know, guys, it comes down to entitlement is a big part of it. You know, there's so many people that are like, oh, well, you know, I'm this, so I should be allowed to have that just because I exist. No, guys, that's not how it works. You got to earn it. You know, they want to talk about systemic oppression. And I want to look at every last person that says there's systemic oppression in any way, and I want to smack them. And the reason being is because, you know, there are so many ethnic groups, there are so many minorities that are very, very, very successful people. And they're beloved by the nation. But they got where they got by earning it, not by being born into it. What's up, Team B? You know, they weren't just born into being a star. No, they had to earn that, guys. You know, a prime example of that would be the show Straight Outta Compton. You know, Eazy-E, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, hell, even 8 Mile with Eminem. All these people, they started out as the lowest of the low on the totem pole. But they worked their butts off and they never gave up. And they kept trying and they kept trying and they kept trying and they kept trying. And all right, I'll see you later. See you later, Team B. But they keep trying as hard as they can, you know, guys. And they succeeded at making something out of themselves. They made a great empire of followers for themselves. But they all started out in either a garage, mama's house, or, you know, a rundown apartment. You know, they all started out with nothing, and they built themselves up. They got themselves where they wanted to be, you know, and you got to have that mindset. I'm going to get myself where I want to be, no matter how long it takes, you know, guys. And I'm in that mindset right now. I'm waiting for this next paycheck to come in so I can fix up my RV, so I can then start saving up for getting what I need to be able to take and get me a piece of property. Now, when I get me a chunk of property, then I'll be able to take and move out there and I can be self-sustaining. Take care of yourself there, Mr. Rebel. But, you know, guys, that's what my goal is to get myself out from underneath the problems that are associated with being on welfare and being disabled. You know, I hate the label. I hate the way people treat me. You know, I hate how people just look at me as just a crazy person. You know, guys, that's why I'm sitting here in front of you today with just a t-shirt and the hat on. I'm not putting on the armor or anything. I was sitting here like, let's do some real talk. You know, this what I like to call front porch talk. You know, guys, and there's some serious things that are bothering me. And the only reason why they're bothering me is because I know that later on they're going to affect me on a either financial or economical or cultural level, you know, and I don't know if I want to be here for that. So, guys, I think if I make a decent amount enough money through my foraging and my walking staffs, guys, I might save up some cash to move to Sweden, my ancestral homeland. And I'll still continue the show. But I might be doing that. I don't know. It's going to take a very long time to even be able to do that. But yeah, I will be trying to move out there to one of them small little villages that are out there and just be a blacksmith, a hunter, and a fisher for the rest of my life. You know, I would rather do that than I would spend 10 minutes in LA. I would rather hike across Sweden without anything because I had to sell my RV to get there, and start out with nothing but the clothes on my back and the house I can build, then I would spend half an hour on a subway train in New York City. These places have no longer become shining beacons of American pride. These places have become dirty, filthy cesspools for crime, for murder, for the R word. You know, it just runs rampant. Gangs rule the street, not the cops. In fact, a lot of places are trying to defund the cops. And a lot of the cops are becoming corrupt because they're worried more about the pay. You know, when they find out the pay isn't all that great and the power isn't as much as they think it is, then they get corrupt. You know, no problem, Mr. Rebel. And this corruption leads to people fearing and hating the police. It leads to people not being able to trust 911 anymore. You know, and not only that, but you also run into the situation where, you know, bills are so expensive that whenever you turn around and you take and you get an ambulance ride, not treatment, just a ride in the ambulance, that's $800. $800 to $1,200 to possibly more, depending upon where you live at. But down here where I'm at, that's $800. You know, might as well have called it Uber, because you're going to get there in about the same amount of time. What's up, Gianna? See you later, Bo. But then you've got medical transportation, you know, which doesn't always show up, or shows up late, or shows up too early, you know, or makes you stand there and wait for hours on end. Oh, I'm doing good there, Gianna. What's up, Triple T? How you doing there, man? But, you know, I guess it's just the fact that I was raised in a simple life where even though I didn't have both parents in the home, both parents were present in my life. Even though my parents were not very understanding or very supportive of exactly who I am, because they just can't understand it and it trips them out. And especially the armor thing and the wearing tunics and the dressing like a, you know, Norseman and all that. It kind of trips them out. But it's who I am, guys. It's what I enjoy. You know, aside from that, working at the forge, you know, my dad would never touch a live snake, but I'll run right up to one as long as it's non-venomous and pick it straight up. You know, it can bite me all day long and I won't care, because I'm going to have fun. I'm going to record it and I'm going to show you guys, you know, and I'm actually pretty decent at catching a snake. But anyway, you know, guys, we got 10 minutes left. Oh, my leg. It's falling asleep. It is very much dead. So, how's everybody's afternoon been, guys? Please, if you're new here, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Come join the family. Come join the conversation. You know, right now we're talking about some kind of serious topics. We got less than 10 minutes left. So pop on in, guys. This is your last chance. You can ask me any questions about where I stand or anything like that, and I will answer them honestly, guys. I'm not one of these people who's going to sit here and put up a front. I don't believe in it. What you see is what you get when it comes down to me. That's why I admit to you guys, yes, I'm an epileptic schizophrenic, but I still have opinions. And it doesn't matter to me if it matters to you whether or not, if my opinion is important. What matters to me is that the world gets a new perspective. The world gets a new understanding of a group of people that are usually looked at as nothing more than drooling morons. What's up, Rock? And we are not. We are stronger than that. Most of us deal with a pain and a world that normal-minded human beings will never understand. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a very honest thing. I got you there, Rock. Well said. But guys, when it comes down to mental illness, if you see somebody who's walking around, they look utterly confused and lost, don't laugh at them. Go ask them if they need help. It might be somebody off their meds whose family is in dire straits looking for them. It's happened to me. And everybody ignored me. I was lost for a week until I finally came to, called my dad and said, I don't know where I am, but I'm in nothing but a pair of pants. And I don't know what happened to my shoes. I don't know where my wallet is. I'm covered in cuts and bruises. Can you please come get me? What up, radio? But this was a situation that, happened not that long ago. Just before I started doing this whole YouTube thing. But it's a deplorable situation whenever people can recognize that there's obviously something wrong, but instead of helping the person, they immediately ostracize them and figure they're on drugs or figure that they're too dangerous. A lot of the times a helping hand is all we need, to snap us back to reality. Hell, even something as simple as a call to the police to get us home would be acceptable. What is meant by Gator? My nickname is Gator. I used to catch them as a hobby, and I brought one to school one day, and it tripped out everybody, so they started calling me Gator. Yeah, I try to help everyone that I can, but there are quite a few people out there that do not deserve help, and I hate to say that, but there are a lot of people out there now that are entitled. Thank you. But there's a lot of people out there that are so entitled and think that they're so necessary for the function of the planet. They're so narcissistic that they think that they're the best thing since sliced bread. Guess what? That was Betty White. That was Betty White there, guys. Betty White was the best thing since sliced bread because literally she was older than sliced bread. I got you there, Rock. What happened, Jen? What's wrong, my baby? What's going down? Let your man know. Maybe I can fix it. But anyway, guys, we got 5.5 minutes left in the show. So I'm going to wrap this up with this last little bit here. If you're American and you're catching this, do better. If you are doing better, thank you. Guys, but if you're not, and you're one of these criminal culture influencers that likes to introduce kids to violent rap music and things of that sort, do better. Straight up, do better. Because you're making the rest of us look terrible. If you're one of these youngsters that can't read, start learning how. Now. Because you're going to need it when you grow older. You can't Google everything the rest of your life. Eventually, something's going to happen to the power grid. And when that does, you need to know what you're looking into. Yes, she is. A Jin is definitely that. Oh, baby. A lot of people love having you around. Don't worry about everybody in here loves having you around. Yeah, everybody in here loves you, my Jin. But to finish this all up, we are facing basically an apocalypse, guys. But it's not the apocalypse of the Bible. It's not Ragnarok of my people. We are facing an apocalypse of wisdom. We are facing an apocalypse of common courtesy. We are facing an apocalypse of everything that made humanity decent. We are devolving back into these bestial creatures that care nothing about the improvement of mankind, but care only for the improvement of their own agenda. And these agendas can be very dangerous. Some of them are downright wrong, and some of them are downright deplorable, guys. And if we do not do something soon, if we don't start working on these issues, they're going to become so big. Yeah, I got plenty of swords there, Radio. I'll show you next time. But they're going to become so deplorable and so big and so hard to control that America will collapse from it. There will no longer be an America. And to think that that's possible for it to happen in my lifetime, and me seeing it happen as I've grown up, really breaks my heart. It really destroys the patriotic idea I had of what America was. Especially considering that once I got older, I found out our education system, even in my time, was leaving out important actual history. Like, we weren't learning squat. We were learning one test and a little bit of something, every now and then. Mostly just in the math classes and in the reading classes and in the literature classes. Those were the only ones that weren't governed by a standardized test. I believe an end of the year exam is the best way to go. And I believe that we need to shift further into, I wouldn't necessarily say corporal punishment, but there needs to be a way for parents to be able to discipline their children. Because right now, it's not working. Right now, it's producing a generation of deplorable, deprived little monstrosities. Nice, Radio. Nice, BMC. Oh, you're getting married next year? Congratulations, Radio. But there is so much that could be said and so much more that needs be said. But for now, I'm going to be leaving it here. And hopefully you guys enjoyed what you read, what you heard, what you saw, whatever you're doing, because I know some people have to use hearing devices, and I know some people have to, read it because they can't hear. So, however medium you're seeing this on, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all here next time. Don't forget, y'all are the absolute backbone of all YouTube channels. Y'all are the lifeblood of this entire app. It would not work without you guys. It wouldn't be worth anything. But we'll check you all next time. Remember, see it from a swamp, later from a gator. Love your mama, love your papa, love yourself, be kind, and always find a way to help everybody. Check you all here next time. Same place, same location.
Mhm.